At 6, church leaders and health advocates share stories of disparities in the healthcare system for people of color, how churches are trying to fill the gap to better health care. A program meant to heal veterans' brains has failed to get off the ground. WRTV Investigates is digging into what happened to the $1 million in taxpayer money meant for the initiative. Good evening and thanks for being here with us at 6 o'clock. I'm Mark Mullins. Amanda Starrentino has the evening off. First, it's a cold but clear evening around central Indiana, but major changes are on the way. Tomorrow, we're talking about a winter storm with the potential to bring heavy snowfall. Chief Meteorologist Kevin Gregory is here with a look at the timing of all of this. Kevin.
And I hop right to it with that timing. You'll wake up to a dry Saturday. As we get to the evening hours, probably past 4 o'clock, you can see the probability of precipitation. I use that word instead of snow because maybe a combination of rain changing to wet, heavy snow at that time, then continuing tomorrow evening. The range of snowfall potential south and west of Indy, very little at all. But from Indy northeast, 3 to 7 inch snowfall potential. Again, most of this Saturday evening, Saturday night. That'll be the bulk of the hours of accumulation. Mainly snow for the entire event as you get north. That's why you'll have totals that are higher. As you mix in some rain, they come down from central into southern Indiana. There's your 4 to 7 inch potential. Lafayette to Richmond north, right in the heart here, 2 to 4 inches. Isolated higher amounts just northeast of Indy. And then some spots not much at all, or up to 2 inches south, third of the state.
INDOT crews will be working to pre-treat the roads across the state beginning at 4 o'clock Saturday afternoon. INDOT drivers will be out clearing any snow until the system moves out. The Indianapolis Department of Public Works will call out a full shift of snow force drivers this weekend. That means 80 trucks will be out pre-treating roads and potential slick spots beginning at 11 o'clock Saturday morning. Snow force crews will remain activated through Monday morning, plowing and treating the roads as needed. If you see any snow force or INDOT trucks on the road, slow down and make sure you give them plenty of room. Stay weather aware with the WRTV app and on our website at WRTV.com. Just head to the weather section there. You'll see what's happening now, what to expect for the rest of that day and week. And you'll want to keep the WRTV app handy as well as we get closer to this weekend's snowfall. Church leaders and health advocates from across Indianapolis have been working to come up with ways to better serve the health needs of minority communities. WRTV's Stephanie Wade joined in on the discussion and shares this grassroots effort to help improve health care in places where it's needed most.
Doctors, as well as the rest of the medical community, have to take note.
That's the message from church leaders and health advocates across Indianapolis, a part of this coalition working to improve health and wellness within their communities. Throughout the pandemic, church leaders recognized they needed to step in to help their congregations.
We will even engage in mobile units to involve dental cleaning, AIDS testing, COVID testing.
But also recognized help was needed way before COVID-19 ever existed, highlighting disparities in the healthcare system, especially among minorities. One pastor sharing this personal story about his niece during delivery.
After the birth, she was bleeding, and they had to call several times for the nurse or somebody to come to help her stop bleeding, and there was no response.
Another form of discrimination mentioned.
If a person has public assistance versus private assistance, there's also that is a factor of discrimination within the level of care that is received.
These practices are real, that it's not imagined.
State Representative Robin Shackelford also joined in on the conversation to share what's being introduced at the State House in light of the death of Dr. Susan Moore, who died of complications from COVID-19 and previously claimed she was mistreated and racially discriminated against while a patient at the hospital.
I think that their deaths just put a more light on it and the need for cultural training from our healthcare providers.
House Bill 1333 proposes the State Department of Health and the Minority Health Department come up with a curriculum that healthcare providers will have to complete at least 2 hours of cultural training a year.
That is essential because that's what's missing.
Sharing lessons learned and unique methods of support. to close the healthcare gap among the most vulnerable communities.
I believe the medical community is working toward that. We just need to push them along.
Stephanie Wade, WRTV.
At the bottom of this story on our website, you can find additional free resources through the IU Fairbanks School of Medicine, which is working to advocate for women of color who are pregnant. You can learn more at our website at WRTV.com. A bit of good news tonight. The number of daily COVID-19 cases and the number of COVID-related hospitalizations continues to trend downward. Today, the Indiana Department of Health reports 2,647 additional cases of the coronavirus. A total of 622,625 people in Indiana have tested positive for COVID-19 since the pandemic started. The state also confirms 46 additional COVID-related deaths. 9,549 Hoosiers have now died with the coronavirus. Don't forget, anyone 70 and older, long-term care residents and staff, first responders and healthcare workers are now eligible for the COVID vaccine in Indiana. You can register at ourshot.in.gov or call 211. We do know the next group that will be able to get vaccinated is anyone as young as 65 years old, but the state doesn't have a date yet for when that group can start getting vaccinated. Tonight, new details surrounding an incident where investigators say an IMPD officer fired shots amid an active shooting scene on the northeast side. This all happened Thursday afternoon near 30th and Shadeland Avenue. IMPD says they believe multiple people in the intersection were firing shots in the direction of other people. According to police, the officer, who was not in uniform and in an unmarked vehicle, fired his gun at a person who was armed with a rifle. People in multiple vehicles then drove off. IMPD says it appears the initial incident may have stemmed from the sale of a vehicle. The officer was not hurt, but two other people went to the hospital with gunshot wounds. They are both stable, but IMPD says it is not yet clear if the officer actually shot either of the two people who went to the hospital or if they were hurt in the initial shooting incident. Police arrested one of the people in the hospital and another person who officers say was at the scene for attempted robbery. The officer is on administrative leave, as is normal procedure. A program intended to help struggling veterans has failed to fully get off the ground and may have only helped one single veteran. This despite $1 million of your taxpayer money going to fund the program. WRTV Investigates Kara Kenny is digging into what happened and uncovered a new effort to save the Veteran Initiative.
Veterans with traumatic brain injuries and post-traumatic stress disorder can benefit from hyperbaric oxygen therapy. They're put in a chamber with 2 to 3 times the normal air pressure, and the treatment can help heal their brains. That's why Brigadier General James Bowerly pushed to create a program for Indiana veterans back in 2017. The state legislature appropriated $1 million 3 years ago, but WRTV Investigates has uncovered only $272,000 has been spent.
In my mind, that's a big, big red flag. And I can't imagine that. We need an accurate accounting, and if the money's being misused, which I strongly believe that it has to have been done.
The program's contractors are Clark Memorial Hospital in southern Indiana, which does the oxygen treatment, and Purdue University, which performs MRI scans and studies the participants. We checked with Purdue, and they told us they spent a chunk of the money to facilitate development and testing of the advanced MRI sequences to be used in the study, analysis of images and study data, payment for MRI scans of study participants, and reimbursement to participants for travel expenses. State lawmaker Representative Denny Zent says only one veteran has been fully treated through the hyperbaric oxygen therapy program.
One vet's been helped, about a half a dozen signed up, only 4 wanted to get in, and by the time they did anything, only 2 wanted to participate and 1 dropped out.
Zent says many veterans find the program time-consuming, plus the oxygen therapy provider is hours away for many people.
I think the bigger problem is Clark Hospital in Jeffersonville agreed to help. That's a long drive for anybody that doesn't live. And, there are people from Kentucky and Tennessee are probably closer to that than people from northern Indiana.
The other big factor, COVID-19. Purdue told us many have expressed concern about traveling across the state during COVID-19. Additionally, the Purdue MRI facility was shut down for several months due to the COVID-19 pandemic, but has reopened under strict safety protocols to continue the research. Efforts are underway to save this program. Representative Zent has filed House Bill 1104, which would extend the hyperbaric oxygen therapy program for veterans through June of 2025. A similar bill, Senate Bill 91, was also filed in the Senate.
We need to extend this so it doesn't revert to the general fund, because that, to me, would be the worst outcome of everything. If the money went back to the general fund, then I'd be up on the rooftop screaming.
Purdue says its researchers are eager to promote the project and enroll more veterans. We check with the Indiana Department of Veterans Affairs and the State Department of Health, the state agencies in charge of the program. A spokesperson told us the IDVA supports both Senate Bill 91 and House Bill 1104 as they extend funds for the HBUT pilot program and change its payment structure in a positive way. Both advancements to the program will make the HBUT treatment more accessible for facilities that administer it and veterans who use it. The legislation removes a requirement that the state request proposals for hyperbaric oxygen treatment from certain geographic areas of Indiana. That change is expected to reduce the program's workload. Representative Zent hopes to add more treatment centers throughout the state.
It has put some roadblocks up, and you got to get it done right.
The plan is to get the program fully off the ground and help more Indiana veterans recover from traumatic brain injuries and PTSD. Working for you, Kara Kenny, WRTV.
Well, we reached out to Clark Memorial Hospital, and we are still waiting to hear back. The legislation is scheduled for a hearing on Tuesday. One local company is thriving and hiring during this pandemic. Up next, we'll show you where to find jobs that are available right now.
Our increasing chance for snow, then rain tomorrow starts around 4 o'clock. More on the timing and the impact.
WRTV's Hiring Hoosiers initiative serves as a link between you and employers. We've found a company not only surviving the hardships of the pandemic, but it's thriving and looking to expand. I discovered the company helps make a house a home. This new construction house in this growing neighborhood in Greenfield is coming along quickly. Josh Underwood and William Kidd with overhead doors are moving fast, installing insulation, helping build the place from the inside out. Josh has been with the company for a little more than 2 years. In fact, this was a successful career change for him when he took a leap of faith to try something new.
Well, I actually came from a hospitality, a food and beverage background for most of my life leading up to this. Coming in, I really did not understand what I was getting my feet into.
William has nearly 3 decades of this work under his belt.
Once you know what you're doing, it's not tough. It just pretty much like any job becomes a routine. I've been here for 29 years, and I've done quite well, I would say.
One with an established career with overhead, the other setting his sights on a lucrative future here.
Oh yeah, this is definitely something you can make into a career. A lot of the guys I work with have been here for 20 and 30 years and preach about being able to raise their kids on this, from infants all the way up, putting them through college.
Overhead Door specializes in garage doors and insulation. With roughly 150 employees serving Indianapolis and central Indiana, the business needs to add about 25 to 30 new workers in its insulation division. No experience necessary. It provides a comprehensive training program where new hires get paid to learn a trade.
You can make very good money doing this job. If you're looking for a career, this is a great opportunity for man or woman.
For job seekers, open positions and hands-on paid training is good news in itself. But this company also prides itself on helping its workers build financial stability. Overhead Door helps families, providing an online financial planning course instructing on budgeting and saving. After completing the course, a worker who saves $1,000 will receive a $1,000 bonus from the company's CEO.
Well, I think it shows how much they actually care for their employees.
Hard work, physical labor, but perks and a comfortable living for those who commit to the task.
Give it a shot, if anything. Come in. You never know what you're going to be made of.
Well, managers with Overhead Door say the pandemic never slowed them down since home and office construction remained an essential industry and home sales continued. In fact, there is so much work to do, some projects are on hold until more workers are hired. If you'd like to learn more about the long list of benefits offered by the company and to apply, we've provided a link to Overhead Door in this story at hiringhoosiers.com.
Great spot for a walk today, downtown Canal. That sun shining, and it looks like the canal's frozen at least a little bit. As we go to tomorrow night at this time, we'll have snow if you're going out to walk, and you'll leave some footprints there. Here's the view from the Motor Speedway looking downtown to Indianapolis. A quiet night ahead and a quiet start to your Saturday. Let's talk about that winter storm watch. Goes into effect tomorrow evening and includes Lafayette down to Lebanon, Carmel, Fishers, then over to Newcastle and Richmond north. Technically does not include Indianapolis, but we will be impacted by the storm. Here's a different way of looking at snowfall potential. The chance of getting 4 inches or more at your house is greatest if you're from Monticello to Delphi, Kokomo, Tipton, say Anderson and Muncie north. 60% chance you'll have 4 inches or more. You come south, that probability drops to 40% to the north side of Indy, and then much less as you get south and west. Some folks in the southwest Indiana will have very little snow at all. You can see from Terre Haute to Bloomington and Seymour, not expecting much. Jumps to about the 3-inch mark as you get to the metro area, and then increases north and east. The reason? You're likely to see snow for a longer period of time for most of the event, whereas from Indianapolis south, we'll be transitioning for a period of time to rain. During the day tomorrow, temperatures start in the 20s. We'll climb above freezing. Temperature will drop once the snow starts. Evaporational cooling is what we call it, as the precipitation then evaporates at first, lowering the temperature. 3 o'clock in the afternoon to 5. See the darker blues? There's your burst of heavy wet snow. Still ongoing at 7. Still ongoing at 11 o'clock. That's 9. There's 11. That's the period where I think we'll see the bulk of the accumulating snow that I just talked about. Then overnight, lifting to the north will be the rain-snow line, allowing rain to push even north of Indianapolis, cutting off this accumulating snow for a while, but it returns late in the day on Sunday as we turn the other way. From rain, then back to some snow as the storm system pulls away. Sunday morning, rain most likely, Lafayette, Muncie south, and then later in the day, colder air changes that back to some light accumulating snow. 7-day forecast Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. That's our quiet start to next week. Rain and 47 next Thursday.
Kevin, thank you. The Pacers are going for a 3rd straight win tonight. Plus, we've got the NBA returning to WRTV on Saturday night with a big matchup in prime time. Our Brad Brown has a look ahead at both of those.
Monday's 129-point outburst by the Pacers carried over to Wednesday's win in Charlotte. Doug McDermott scored 28 in 28 minutes, the first time he's held game-high honors this season. The Pacers continue to find some offensive rhythm, just a little more each time out.
I felt like I could take my game to another level by just moving without the basketball. It's something I've always done well. But not just relying on hitting shots, because some nights it's not going to be there. So just finding other ways to score and, letting the previous play, not faze me and just continue to be in attack mode.
Pacers play in Charlotte again tonight. The NBA's Saturday night on ABC schedule starts this weekend. Lakers and Celtics in Boston. ESPN's Rachel Nichols will be courtside all season. I caught up with Rachel this week.
Saturday night now, Lakers-Celtics gets this thing started for you. It still feels like that these Saturday night games, this is the marquee every week. As you've seen this first part of the season with so few fans in the arena, though, do these games still have kind of the buzz that they're generating? I get the sense that a lot of them do.
I really think they do. And I'll be honest, I was skeptical about that going in. I was really worried. I said, these buildings are going to be empty. It's not going to be built like the bubble where they had giant television screens and those virtual fans and all of the projections, because they knew they would have no fans the entire time, so they could really build around that. And I worried that especially too with squads where maybe some of the guys were missing doing coronavirus or contact tracing, it would really start to feel like a rec league scrimmage. But the truth is that hasn't happened.
Let me ask you about the Pacers for a minute while we're here. The big trade that sent Oladipo to Houston. It's a very different Pacers team on the other end of this. What do you think about what they've got right now, though?
Yeah, and frankly, Karis LeVert's going to be fantastic for that team, and I think it speaks volumes about the organization that they found the mass on the cancerous mass during his physical. Certainly would have been enough to void the trade if they had wanted to, but they knew that Karis had a great prognosis. He's had his surgery since then. He's expected to make a full recovery, and I'm a huge Malcolm Brogdon fan in two ways. I do think he's fantastic on the court, but his leadership to me is invaluable. I just think he's such a stand-up guy. He is one of the players I mention the most when I talk about the league being in such good hands with the 25 and under set. Just that these guys are so responsible off the court, the social responsibility that someone like Malcolm has shown, and then such good leadership and accountability on the court. And I think that really speaks as an Indiana value too, the way that Pacers team has been run for so long. Those are the kinds of players that click with the fan base, that click with the organization. And to me, Malcolm Brogdon, he's just that kind of guy. He's a Pacers kind of guy. And I think the community has rallied around him in that way.
You can find more of my conversation with Rachel on WRTV.com, and you can watch her hosting The Jump weekdays on ESPN. Brad Brown, WRTV Sports.
Dry in the morning and early afternoon. It's Saturday evening and Saturday night that we get our bigger burst of snow and see that snowfall potential of 3 to 7 inches. The 7 inches well to the north and northeast of Indianapolis. Good night, work week. There's the beautiful setting sun. World News is next. We'll see you at 7.